Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to discuss about nodes. What are they? In physics, everything is made of atoms. In biology, everything is made of cells. And in N8N, everything is made of nodes. So nodes are the building blocks through which you map out, design and build your automation workflow. So in order to map out a real scenario on a canvas of N8N, you need to know what are the types of nodes so you can utilize them on the right place. So to know what are the types, the categorization also falls into two types. Okay, one categorization is dividing the nodes in entry point nodes, entry point nodes, exit point nodes, and function processing nodes. Okay, and the other categorization is to divide them into triggers and actions and data processing nodes, files nodes, and flow nodes. So we will touch on the first category in the start of our video. So let's see, what are the entry point nodes? We have webhooks as entry point nodes. The webhooks are like the doorbells, which update you when something has occurred in your application, on the basis of which you can devise or start or trigger a workflow. Then you have cron jobs. So cron jobs, we have here scheduled triggers. The name of cron jobs here is scheduled trigger. This means you set a time, specific time, when it hits, certain things happen. That also are in entry point nodes. You have IMAP emails. That means when certain emails hit on your account, you have to do something. You have Google Drive triggers also. So in Google Drive, on changes to a specific file or on changes involving a specific folder, this becomes an entry point nodes for you. They also are triggers, but we are categorizing nodes in entry point, exit point, and functional basis. And you have manual triggers also. Okay. See, manual triggers. One which you click, if you click it, then that starts whole of your workflow. So that are sometimes used in the testing of your workflow. So if I click on it, it will execute the file. Then you have exit point nodes. Okay, these are the response to the webhooks. So you have placed the webhooks, and after what you place after the webhook, it becomes an exit point. Sometimes the HTTP request also serve as the exit point nodes. The HTTP request, the email you send email. Okay, for example, you have a Gmail, and in Gmail you have actions as send an email. All of these send email nodes are also exit nodes. To generalize it, everything you write on an application or you send an application or update can be set as an exit point node. Okay, and then you have functions or processing nodes. So processing nodes means you receive a data and then you process upon it, and when you have filtered it out based on the output, you decide what to do next. So this processing can either be a code you can write custom code on JavaScript and Python. You can have functions written. Functions are a block of code that do a specific thing. So N8N has placed them in the code node 2. We have if statements, switch statements. These are the control control operators in programming. They direct the flow of information. So if this happens, do this. If that happens, do that. And we have set also modify, add or remove items in the field. You have got a certain pack of data and you want to explicitly or manually modify it. So you will place edit fields, edit nodes after it. We have split in batches also. So you get a pack of data and you want to split it. One of the option is to filter them out on base of the condition, but you don't have a condition, you just have to batch it or filter it, break down it into pieces. You select this node, and then you have math, date and time, manipulate data, date and time values in the data. You also have data queries, SQL queries. Okay, you get data from them, or for example, you update the data on real time on your database. That is also a function processing. So this is a kind of category. You can divide the nodes into them. The other category you can have to divide your nodes. So when you get a real world scenario and you have to map that scenario on a automation canvas, is that you divide your concept of nodes into triggers. So you have triggers, clones, IMAP, select triggers, Google Drive triggers. So basically all of the entry point nodes, somehow they fall into the trigger category. And then you have action nodes. So the action nodes, they are usually in the end exit point nodes. So they are identified only with an application. So what you do, update, send, write, delete with an application, for example, Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, SQL, that all falls into action nodes. And the data processing are the ones we discuss in the functional nodes. Okay, they usually occur in the center of the automations, not in the end ones, and they don't directly interact with the applications, do some deletions, updations or additions in it. They inside the workflow process, modify or make your data as you wish it to be. So on the basis of which you can have some decisions. These are all we have discussed in the past category. Then you have flow datas. The first of which is execute workflow, and that is the first the trigger node we had, which call the workflow to hit. And we also have execute workflow button when you need to execute another workflow, another canvas, when something happens in this canvas. We have wait also, that stops the execution for some time. No operation, that does nothing. So sometimes you filter out data on some specific data, you need to do nothing. You have to waste them. So you place no data upon it. And you have error triggers also in flow statement. So you place the conditions that when, for example, you get the status 404 from an HTTP request, you place an error trigger there. So the whole workflow doesn't crash. And error triggers are also used when an error occurs in another workflow that can impact on your current workflow. So all of these things are what falling into the category of flow nodes. And then you have file nodes. The file nodes are what they read your file or write your file. Google Drive and Dropbox nodes also fall into this category because they save your files. And sometimes you transfer file to FTP and SFTP. So these are file transfer protocols similar to HTTP. So HTTP are used to request and get response. But when you need to send a certain file, then the protocol used is FTP. It doesn't use HTTP to send files. Similar to HTTP, but for another use. Thank you very much for being with me in this long video of discussing what type of nodes do we have in N8N and how we can categorize in our mind. So when we face a real scenario of mapping out a repetitive task onto the canvas of automation, where do we place a node and where should it belong? Thank you very much.